Good afternoon, welcome to GrainTV. It's April 3rd, 2014. I'm Logan Burgess. To my right here is Brock Schimbeno to help break down a generally positive day in Chicago for the grain complex, bouncing back from a very weak Wednesday across the grains. Jump into the quotes here. We can see corn up 4 1/4, soybeans picking up 13 cents. Chicago wheat was up 6 3/4. Kansas City wheat was up a penny. You know, Brock, relatively quiet day in terms of fundamental information. The big report, though, early this morning was the export sales report. It really seemed to be a continuation of the trend for corn and soybeans that we've seen in recent weeks.
That's right, Logan. We did get the export sales report out this morning. It was mostly in line with expectations. Corn and wheat on old crop and new crop were right within analyst expectations. Old crop beans also within analyst expectations, but new crop fell a little bit short on what analysts were expecting. Came in at only 19,000 metric tons sold in the new crop. Analysts were expecting on the low side 350,000 metric tons, so well short there. But let's keep in mind where we stand for this marketing year. If you take a look at this chart here, the red line is the seasonal pace to meet the current USDA projections. The blue bars are what we're seeing for weekly totals for export sales, and the green line here, if you use the right-hand scale, is the amount of bushels and millions of bushels, how far we are ahead or behind the pace to meet the current USDA projections. So you can see over the latter part, or in the middle of this marketing year, we've been falling off substantially on that pace that we have been ahead. And I look for this to continue and actually accelerate as we head towards the latter part of this marketing year. Currently, as it stands, we're about 209 million bushels ahead of pace on soybeans.
You know, one recent concern in the market has been old crop sales to China. We talked about that a little bit on yesterday's show. Coming into today's report, we'd seen net cancellations from China on 4 out of the last 6 weeks. Looking at old crop beans specifically, China was reported as purchasing 51,000 metric tons last week, but kind of one thing to keep in the back of your mind is that we saw net cancellations from unknown destinations of 91,000 metric tons. So there's a real possibility that China was actually once again a net canceller of old crop bean purchases. Didn't really see that in today's report, though, as those cancellations were reported as unknown destinations. A lot of times, though, when people see unknown destinations, China is in all likelihood that destination.
You know, quite a different story, though, over in the corn market or corn export sales. You can see here, basically looking at the same type of chart here. The red line is a seasonal pace to meet the current USDA projections. Blue line is the export sales that we're seeing, and then the green line is the one we want to take a closer look at here. Is the amount in millions of bushels, how far ahead or behind we are to meet those current USDA projections. You can see that the corn sales have accelerated over the middle part of this marketing year, really reaching a level now that's 258 million bushels ahead of pace to meet the current USDA projections. You would think that this would start to taper off as we headed towards the end of the marketing year, but it seems to be heading up quite a bit higher as we're moving towards the latter part of this marketing year.
Yeah, you know, in all likelihood, the USDA will need to make some revisions to the export sales projections for corn in the upcoming April WASDE report. We'll break down that in detail, though, coming into that report. Kind of the next big item here for the grain market is going to be next Monday's crop progress and conditions reports. That's the first time we're going to see a planting percentage for corn and soybeans. Obviously, based on the winter that we're coming out of and spring conditions, talking to some farmers today, still getting snow in areas of Minnesota and North Dakota. Not a lot of expectations for big planted acreage numbers for corn and beans, obviously, in next Monday's report, but we'll be breaking those down in detail on Monday here on GrainTV. So as I said, that's kind of the next item here to keep an eye on. Thanks a lot for joining us, though, for a Thursday here with relative strength out of the grains. Let's see if it can continue in tomorrow's action. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you then.